All right, gentlemen, today we are going to talk about measures of center, and then we're going to do some review on some of the more complicated objectives and problem types that you're likely to see on the IA tomorrow and Friday, and also the New York State exam, which is in about a month and a half. So first I want to get this definition down, and it's at the top. It's a little small, so I'll read it. So it's measures of center. Measures of center are mean and median that we're going to talk about today. And the mean and the median give you a typical value of a set of data. The mean and median can be used to make an inference about that typical value. So take a moment and get that on your paper. I'll read it again. Measures of center, mean and median is what we're going to be talking about. They give you a typical value of a data set. The mean and median can be used to make an inference about that data set. So let's go down here and talk about this a little bit together. Back here, okay. So Ms. Bawa gave a test to a small random group of students. The students earned the following scores. So we want to calculate the mean of their scores. Okay, and if you don't remember, calculating the mean is adding up all of these scores together. So I have 88, 92, 85, 90, 100, and 30. So if I add all of those scores together, let's do that right now. Take a few seconds on your own to make that happen. All right, so when we added these scores together, what we should have come up with is 485. So I added them together, I got 485. Now, in order to find the mean, I'm going to divide by the number of data points. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data points. And when I divide 485 by 6, I'm going to get 80.83 repeating, okay? So the mean score on the test was 80.83 repeating. So what inference can the principal make about the overall performance of the small group based on this sample? All right, so the thing that we can sort of infer from the mean is that some students scored higher than 80, and some less, and that the overall kids did well. If I pull up your IA averages and I see 80, I'm doing cartwheels across the room because you guys, that means you did an awesome job, okay? So make sure you have this down. The things I can infer are that students did pretty well. Some scored higher than 80 and some scored lower than 80. Now, you probably see already an outlier, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, I want to get the definition of mean. So, mean is a measure of center. You may also hear it called a measure of central tendency, because those two terms, I think, are fairly interchangeable. Okay, so it tells us the typical value. And what we mean by that is like not the highest, not the lowest. So it's the typical value of a data set. Okay, and then we also know that we add and then divide by the number of data points. Okay, now in this case, I'm thinking, is the mean the best measure of central tendency? Because I'm looking at my scores and I'm told my mean is 80 or close to 81, but I'm looking at my 6 scores and I see that actually 5 out of the 6 of them are far above 80. So my question is, why is it that my mean is coming in at 80 when actually like the kids basically did a little bit better? And it's this outlier right here. This 30, because it is significantly lower than the rest of the test scores, is bringing the average for the class down. So you might be wondering, okay, so is there a better way that we can take a look at this data and talk about where we are using a central measure, okay? So here we're going to calculate the median scores. Let's see if that gives us a better idea. All right, and so in order to calculate the median scores, I absolutely have to first list in order my data, okay? And so sometimes I'm going to have way more than 6 pieces of data. So what I like to do is as I'm finding the lowest, I kind of cross them off so I don't repeat one and I don't miss it, okay? So I have 30, and then it looks like next I have 85. It looks like next I have 88. I have a 90. I have a 92. And I have a 100. The other thing I do to make sure I didn't skip any data is I just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I didn't miss any numbers. Again, there's only 6 numbers here, but when there's 20, believe me, this is a helpful tool. Now, in order to find the median, I'm going to start at either side and I'm going to cross off until I get to the middle. Boom, boom. So here I have these 2 numbers left over. And most of you guys have told me that you know this very well. So I'm going to add 90 plus 88, and I'm going to get 178. And in order to find the true median, I'm going to divide that by 2. So my answer here is 89. Okay, so Ms. Bawa tells the principal the median score on the test was 89. What inference can the principal make about the median, about the test using that median? Okay, and so what she can assume, right, because it's the median, is she can assume 1/2 scored higher than 89 and 1/2 of the students scored lower. And she can also assume that the class did pretty well. We can still make that assumption. The class did pretty well. All right, so our median is a measure of center. And it tells specifically the middle value. You have to order them from least to greatest in order to find it. All right, we have to go from least to greatest and then find the middle. All right, and so what are the measures of center and what information do they give us? Okay, so the measures of center, they give us a center number of a data set. Okay, and it's representative of the data set. A lot of the times, if we have tons and tons and tons of variation, we'll talk about our measures of variability in just a few minutes. But I wanted to make sure that we went over this measures of center.